your baby's close to you. There's someone out there.
What's up, Mob Crew? I'm Chris, and today's missing person case is Don. Also, today's person of interest is Olivia. Today's missing person case is Courtney.
Hello? Oh, nothing more creepier than a freaking shaft. Hello? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am Chris with Monsters Under Our Bed. If you can hear me okay, please put a 1 in the chat if you can. Fix this mic just a little bit. Shout out to all my mods. Thank you guys so much for all the work you guys do. Fix that. So yeah, there is a new interview with the parents of Dylan Rounds that East Idaho News released about 7 hours ago. It's pretty wild. They released some new details, some that were kind of leaked and been rumored for a while, but they confirmed these leaks and then kind of go into more detail about this certain leak, which is the key fob and when it was found. I think it's interesting. So we will definitely dive into that new interview here in just a minute. We've got Gizla in the house. Shout out to Grizzly True Crime. Does amazing work. She just got done covering the Kiely Rodni case, and then Jolisa Fuentes, who Ventures with Purpose. It sounds like they're going to go help out on that case, so good luck to them. But before we get started, as always, we like to feature a couple of missing persons. So, speaking of Jolisa Fuentes, she was last seen or heard from at 4 a.m. And I don't know if there's been some updates. I'm sure if you follow Gizla at Grizzly True Crime, she deep dived this. But all I know is she was last seen on Sunday, August 7th. She was in a gray silver 2011 Hyundai Accent. It has tinted rear windows, and this is the license plate here. For any information, she was last seen in Selma, California. If you have any information, please call the police department down here at 559-896-2525. Yes, thank you so much. Love that you always feature missing persons. Yes, that is one of the goals on this channel, is to help spread awareness, and same goes to you. And so, of course, we want to feature Brian Vladek Hazel, who went missing in East Orlando, Florida. He is now 23. He was 22 when he went missing. He was last seen near his apartment complex in East Orlando. He was last seen last year on November 15th. Last spoke with his family on November 6th. His family's been worried sick about him. He did not have access to a vehicle and he left his cell phone behind. So if anybody has seen him or in Florida, here is the number to call down here. 407-254-7000. And then one more, of course, since we're talking about Dylan Rounds, we always want to feature Aiden Clune, who I think always kind of falls behind. So we always want to feature Aiden Clune, who went missing a month prior to Dylan on April 27th, south of Wells in Curry, Nevada. He was driving along the highway 93, pulled over, and got out of his car, and I believe Highway Patrol tracked him for about 10 miles and lost his trail. Unfortunately, has not been seen since. There is a $5,000 reward. I'm not sure if that's gone up or not, but there is a reward for the details of his whereabouts. And so that covers that. So I originally wasn't going to go live today, but after this interview that came out, I thought we'd have to look into it because it's pretty interesting. And now that I've got a new car and stuff, we would like to try to go back out there. We're not sure when, but pretty soon, and possibly some other things. But we'll share that on a community post or on a future live coming up. So let's get into the interview. Oh, quickly shout out to April. Thank you so much for your donation the other day, and then thank you so much, Christine, for becoming a member. For those that are wondering with the emojis, if you want to become a member, you get exclusive perks like emojis and access to other videos that I put out for just members. So last one I did was kind of behind the scenes and day in the life with me. I think a lot of people enjoyed it. He says, don't blow up your car. Yeah, I don't think this car will blow up. Let's hope not. So, but thank you for the well wishes. All right, let's get into it.
Dylan Rounds has been missing.
Okay, let's make sure. All right, we're going to crank this up. Okay, hopefully it's not too loud. Made sure we could hear it.
Missing for nearly 3 months, and today his parents still have a lot of questions, not only about the whereabouts of their son, but also what's happening with the investigation. And joining me now in the studio, Candace Kiely, she is Dylan's mom, also Justin Rounds, Dylan's father. I think we spoke, man.
Okay, so before we get going into this, for those that might be newer to the channel, when we're going over this interview, I do have to kind of pause it and talk over it. If not, that's kind of like stealing the content. So I do have to commentate over this. So we will be kind of playing it and pausing it and discussing it for a bit. So just to let you, warn you in advance. So let's get started.
3 or 4 weeks ago, it's crazy how fast time has gone. First of all, how are you guys doing?
We're holding up, pushing forward. Just keep them focused.
And what has that focus turned to going into month 3?
Getting a new lead, law enforcement lead agency in Dylan's case. That's where we feel we're at.
So let's set it up. Law enforcement, the lead agency has been the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office in Utah. Dylan disappeared. If you're just tuning into the story, he was living and farming out near the Utah-Nevada border and in Box Elder County, and they began investigating when he first disappeared. And frustrations have been building on your family's behalf over the past, well, kind of since the beginning. Am I right to say that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So walk me through what some of those frustrations have been.
So when we first got out there on May 28th, day one, everybody knows we find Dylan's boots. Justin and I go out and we look at them, and clearly they're Dylan's boots. Neither one of us had any doubt in our mind. They were thrown on the back of one of their side-by-sides, and the search just continued like nothing out of the ordinary. So as time went on, so search and rescue, they stayed the first night. They came back the next day at about 7 a.m. They searched until about 2:30, probably 3 o'clock. They were actually stationed on the property that Brenner was squatting on, and we were told we're going to move base to Lucin Pond because we're irritating Brenner.
Okay, that's A huge red flag right there. So why would Brenner be irritated? You've got a missing juvenile, a missing boy, and Brenner's irritated. To me, that's a huge red flag right there. And they're going to talk more about that. But irritated that they're looking for a missing kid, or a missing teen, I should say. That's interesting.
Now, part of what people need to know is Brenner had an arrest warrant at this time. Box Elder County knew this. He could have been arrested day one. I believe it would have been the 10th. It was the day I was in Elko. I believe it was June 10th. They finally arrested him on that warrant. So you have a violent criminal who we now know. So, he's got an attempted murder charge. He's got all this stuff. He's got a warrant. You have a missing 19-year-old. It's all within 100 yards of each other. And you don't even think let's go ahead and execute this warrant because we can take this guy to jail right now.
James Brenner was squatting on property near where Dylan was.
Yeah.
And has an extensive criminal history, violent crimes. And you're saying when the cops first went in there, when you guys first reported Dylan missing, they should have done something with James Brenner.
Yes.
But they waited 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they waited 2 weeks. We'll kind of look at a calendar, and if I get time, we'll kind of mark when he was arrested, and then we'll talk about Chase. We'll try to This case is so confusing. I really hope they can find him. Yeah, kind of. But yes, let's hope they find him. We're gonna try to help. We've been out there 4 times. For those that might be newer to the channel, we've gone out there the week 2, week 3, week 4, and week 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we've been out there 4 times and put a lot of time and effort in trying to search for this poor kid, and we would like to try to go back out there. But going back to what they're saying is that Brenner was right there, like a huge red flag. And so they were kind of ticked off that they didn't do anything in the beginning with Jim Brenner. And he was squatting on the property, for those that might be newer to the case, he's squatting on the property where the green shed. So if anybody's newer to the case, Dylan Rounds basically was last heard from early in the morning. He had called his grandmother shortly. There's a quick brief call saying that he had to get his green truck inside because it was going to rain that weekend. And so it was a short phone call. It was early in the morning before 7 a.m. And that was the last time they heard from him. And that property he was going to is the same property that this Jim Brenner was on. And Jim Brenner is the one squatting in the trailer. And we'll talk about it here in just a minute.
And then even when they finally did, he was out the next day and they still never searched his property. So Dylan's boots are found. The next day, Lucin Pond, they move out because they don't want to, annoy Brenner. They did not just move base. They just pulled out. They were done. I mean, 4 or 5 guys stuck around. That really helped.
Yeah, a few of those guys came out a lot. And
yeah,
did a really good job.
There was some
with the search
that were
and rescue.
Great. So that was the day, Tuesday, that we got the phone call that Dylan was being held hostage in Montello. And so we all took off. Part of the Box Elder County Sheriffs and a few of the search and rescue guys were standing at the pond. We stopped to give them a flashlight battery back that they'd loaned us the night before, told them what was going on, and I was told good luck with that.
Wow.
Who told you that?
One of the sheriffs. I don't know which one it was, but those were the exact words I got, was good luck with that.
When you mentioned that your son was being held hostage,
Yes.
the deputy said good luck with that.
And then
That is messed up. I mean, that is messed up. So for those that may not know what they're talking about the phone call about where Dylan, they got this, received something that they heard that Dylan Rounds was being held hostage by Chase Venstra, Robert Avelius, somewhere in a house in Montello. And I believe it came first from a psychic, and then the psychic told somebody, and then somebody told Kurt, that's Kurt Wadsworth. And the Wadsworth, Kurt and Troy, the Wadsworth brothers, they're the ones that run the Cowboy Bar and the Saddle Sore Bar, 2 bars, and they're the ones that are out there in Montello. And so anyway, Kurt calls this in, and so then they receive word of it, and so now they're at the Lucin Pond, and let's see if we can corner. So they are. Keep in mind, this is Tuesday. So the water hole is here. They call it the Lucin Pond. We call it the water hole, but this is the area right here. So this is where the grain shed is. And this is, let me remind myself here. So this is, so just under 2 miles from the grain shed area, and where Jim Brenner was staying at, squatting. And so this is where supposedly this incident, and they hear about the news, I guess. And this is a Tuesday, so we'll keep that in mind. I think this is huge.
Justin had to call him, and I'll let you tell him about your conversation with Blower.
Well, I just called and told him I was going to do something if they didn't show up, and had him give me his word that he would get a hold of Elko to get them to come. And then they said they'd come, and we waited. I gave them a little bit of time before I went into the house myself, and they ended up showing up. And
The house where you were told
where
Dylan
we
was.
thought Dylan
Yeah.
was.
So you called Box Elder and said, you better get out here, or I'm going to do something myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure Elko comes.
Well, Box Elder did not ever end up coming, nor did they end up calling Elko. I called 911, and we got Elko out there. When Elko came out, they came out with 6 deputies, and they waited till they all got there because they weren't aware of the current situation. So I make a 911 call and say, our son, we found him. They have no clue who or what we were talking about because Box Elder never called.
So Dylan obviously wasn't in that
No.
house.
No.
So that was one frustration, and then there's been a few more.
Yeah. So moving forward, so now that
Okay, so the main thing, though, is to take away from this is that happened on Tuesday, is what she's saying. Because that's going to become very relevant here in just a minute.
Box Elder released it on NamUs, we all know, yes, the key fob did come back.
So let's talk about that. There was a key fob that originally was not in Dylan's truck when you guys searched it.
Yes.
Correct. It wasn't anywhere. We couldn't get
anywhere.
it in his pickup.
This was the key fob to his truck to get it
Correct.
started. So then it appeared.
Right, in his camp trailer.
How do you know the time frame?
When we were in Montello at the supposed Dylan's kidnapping.
So this is information that the family, you all have known since the beginning.
Correct.
Yes.
But law enforcement have asked you to hold it back.
Yes.
And this is common in a lot of cases where the family, the police know more than the public because they don't want to tip off whoever might be involved, what you all know. So you've been holding that secret as they've asked you to, but then suddenly a report comes out last week or the week before.
It actually came out July 28th.
Oh, so it's been out for nearly a month now.
It's been out for nearly a month before I knew what was, the 12th is when I emailed Box Elder and said, what the heck is going on?
And this
Yeah, and I was even sent this, I'm not sure exactly when, and shout out to whoever sent it to me. Sometimes I get sent a lot of stuff, and sometimes you don't know what's real and what's not. And of course, this looked legit, and I was pretty sure it was, so I kind of sat on it. But then, of course, then people started talking about it, and but then, of course, then Candace came out and said that, this wasn't true. And so then it was kind of, I'm like, okay, well, is this real or not? And now, obviously, Candace was just doing that to try to, keep those details from leaking out. But now they are confirming that this key fob, which is basically a key to the truck, obviously was missing when they supposedly came to look for Dylan the first few days. It was not in his trailer. They apparently tore up his trailer looking for anything in Dylan. And then fast forward a couple days, that Tuesday, then this whole incident where they get, word that Dylan could be held captive at a house in Montello. Was this some kind of ruse to get them away? somebody had to know. I think this is connected somehow. But then when they come back, the key fob is placed in there.
This was a report to a law enforcement agency?
So it was on NamUs. So on NamUs, there's two ways you can do it. You can log in as me and Justin could have a login and report a kid missing, and it has to be approved. Law enforcement can log in, and it can be made to where only other law enforcement agencies can view it. The detective that did it just put it out publicly.
So anyone that had a login to this web, or anyone period,
Anyone, period. You don't even need a login.
could see on this report that about the key fob.
Correct.
The key fob was not there and then it appeared.
Yeah.
Which was part of the investigation, but now it was public.
Okay, exactly. So this is our other frustration. So this happens on day number 3, Wednesday. Still, they don't even think, they don't treat anything suspicious. They don't start thinking, okay, something's not right. Like somebody's bringing this kid's stuff back now and he's missing. No, nothing. They just continued on their merry way.
Did you all think something was
Yes.
I thought something was wrong since the day we saw the boots, the minute we saw the boots.
wrong? Not that Dylan just ran away.
No.
Somebody else
He
was
never ran
involved.
away. I knew that from the very beginning, before we even found the boots. I knew.
So obviously we'll talk about the first two people just for a minute. So there's Brenner, obviously, who's right there on the property squatting, who's the one of the closest to the trailer. So now we're looking at what they're talking about. So let's just take a look at the map real quick here. Back it out just a little bit here. So the grain shed and the boots are found here. The farm and the camper and where the truck were found were here on the farm. And that's where the key fob was apparently returned. So that's very interesting. You did have Brenner here, obviously, who is irritated for some reason. I mean, he has been named a suspect, and speaking with Steve, who is former detective, they usually don't, use that kind of word unless they're, they have something on them. We've talked about that in previous lives, but there could be more people involved. I'm pretty sure at least 1 to 2 people are involved. And I think Brenner's one of them. But I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if he had help. But it is interesting that the timeline, that this phone call happens and they get brought out to Montello, and a kidnapping sounds pretty serious. It sounds like they were trying to get a lot of attention, whoever did create this in the beginning, to get everybody focused out west. And then was this just kind of a ploy to get the key fob back into, which is kind of weird. The thing that would be really dumb is if the key fob was in there the entire time, but I don't think so. I'd hope they thoroughly searched it.
He wouldn't have just taken off.
And then when the key fob appears, you're saying
Yeah.
something isn't
Yeah,
right.
and so at this point, we're starting to get a little bit of information from the detectives. Not really much of anything, but they would separate us. So they would tell him something, and then they'd pull me aside and say, okay, now I'm going to tell you. They would not do it together, which we could not figure out, because then we were so frantic and exhausted and emotionally exhausted. Then we would get talking, and we would think we were confusing stuff because they wouldn't talk to us together.
Do you think they thought you were suspects?
It's a possibility. I'm sure everybody's suspect, you know what I mean?
But no interviews were conducted. Justin and I have never been interviewed.
Now that is weird. Now, of course, I think they were, of course, in a different state, so it's kind of like, but still, usually, they interview everybody, and usually it's even the family, it's more often a family member is, at the top of the suspect list, and then you work your way back, family, friends, acquaintance, and then so on, neighbors, strangers. So it is a little odd that they didn't get interviewed. I don't think they had anything to do with it, but I'm just saying it is. I think it just reflects on how this investigation was, poorly taken care of. So they have put out something. We'll show you at the end, but there's a number to call that they are asking the public. If you want to call, and we'll talk about that at the end.
Oh, this was just to pull you aside.
This
to
is
talk.
just to pull
This
you
wasn't
aside.
a formal interview.
No,
No,
we've
no,
never
it
been
wasn't
given a
that.
formal interview. No, Don wasn't who's on the property. Brenner wasn't. None of the neighbors. None of our nobody. Nobody was formally interviewed.
And you would be open to doing a formal interview.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was open for anything.
Yeah. So that's when I was told. So then the one detective took me for a ride out to Dylan's camper in the SUV, and I was told, "Did you know it was blood on the boots and it is your son's?" And I said, "No. The boots were not even at the lab." He lied to me. He lied to me. Those boots did not go to the lab until June 6th. They stayed in the SUV. I was told that by Detective Blauer. Those exact words. That was after he had talked to Justin, and then he took me for a drive. This is what we've been dealing with. This is why our first frustration started mounting when we started screaming, and that's when they brought in the FBI offered assistance, or they asked. I don't know how it happened. So then as this continues, Weber County came out that Friday, which was great. They did an amazing search and rescue team. And then it was that next day, I asked one of the Box Elder sheriffs, I said, when do we call for a public search? We got all these people we're holding back that want to come help find Dylan? And he said, now would be a good time. So then that Saturday, we held the search. We probably had 300 people. No help. No deputy assigned to us. The only deputy that was out there told me our son's case would resume on a Zoom meeting at 11 o'clock Monday, and I lost it on him. And so he ended up leaving. No help organizing, no help trying to keep people safe, no help on this is how you search, nothing.
Yeah, from what I heard, it was a very everybody just kind of did whatever, which is, usually you sign in and you get assigned, a certain spot, and, obviously you don't go alone, you pair up. So, I mean, that's terrible. It's just bad from the start for them, whereas on the law enforcement side. And of course it didn't help that it was close to the border, so you got Box Elder and you've got Elko County, so I'm sure that didn't help at all. Just checking the chat here. Yeah, we'll kind of look into Don Hatley, who is friends with Jim. He kind of lives north. We'll kind of take a look at that after here.
Nothing.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine put a post on, he put a post on Facebook just asking people, if you're going out this weekend to ride your side-by-sides or whatever, just come up this way. And we didn't even know where to send people, what to do. And
You have no clue what we're doing.
we had a lot of people came, and it was really awesome that people would come and do that. And we covered a lot of ground, but we were just blind, the blind leading the blind. It
Yeah.
was,
You have experience
Wait.
organizing these huge
No.
searches.
oh, we had no idea.
So you have written, is it a letter?
Yeah, so it's a letter demanding and the reasons why, and then the timeline, and I sent you a copy of that, and that's, I finally had to stop because I could just keep going. There is so many places they dropped the ball on Dylan's case. I mean, they didn't even call it criminal until the 15th of June, and they had no more evidence than we had on day 3. They had the same amount of everything.
It was so frustrating at the beginning, and then I just kind of told myself I just got to have faith that they're doing what they're doing, and I've just kind of been hoping and praying that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing, and I've kind of been dragging my feet on doing what she's wanting to do, but we haven't talked to them at all. I don't know anything that's going on. I don't know.
Yeah, how often does the sheriff's office communicate with you?
Never. So they've made it to where
I mean, think of this case compared to the Kiely Rodni case, and how, I mean, we were updated on Twitter every day of how much manpower was put in, how many personnel, what they use, vehicles, helicopters. I mean, that was pretty nice to have that. up there each day, seeing, you know, how much work was put in. You know, it was sad to see them, you know, kind of tell it back, but then obviously Adventures with Purpose came out and knocked it out of the park right that weekend. So that's amazing. But compared to this, complete opposite. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, if we can't just try to refrain from mentioning other channels, it just, because it's hard to say, because then I don't know if I, you know, support that channel or not, and I don't know if that's a, you know, so it's just try not to mention it unless I mention the channel first.
Our FBI agent is our point of contact, and he's great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's straight up, but he's not lead. He's basically, I feel like especially, he's basically just been sent in to talk to us, and I mean, and he.
So this is what I'm going to say, because when we went out there, like I said, we were out there the second week, like right at the beginning of the second week. He'd only been missing for Saturday, so he had only been missing 9 days, I think, 9 days, 8 or 9 days, and of course we talked to some locals a couple times, actually many times in the beginning, and we heard about Don a couple of times, actually. And to be honest, we only heard good things about Don. I mentioned that on the channel because, obviously, you know, report back to you guys what we heard. And it wasn't a lot of things that we heard about Don, but the things we did hear about Don, honestly, from what we got in the beginning, is it seemed like he was a great guy. You know, obviously, everybody is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But yeah, as far as Don, I mean, we heard, you know, that he helped people out. But yes, there was an incident before Dylan went missing where they were trying to fix a washer, Dylan and Don. And Don got upset, and then Dylan fired Don. But from what I heard, Don didn't really care because he just wanted to go fishing. So that was kind of really that. But yes, they did have a fight before Dylan went missing. Could there be more to that? For sure. But yeah, other than that, like I said, when we went out there, from just the few locals that we talked to, they did just have good things to say about Don. But we did hear about the fight, about the washer.
Like I said, he has done an amazing job, and he is working with EquiSearch, but he's not lead. So if Box Elder can't even communicate with us as parents, that can't even give us the time of day to pick up a phone once a week, why are they even working his case? Because there's no point. This is absolutely ridiculous. We should not have to beg for everything in this case.
It's been that way since the very beginning.
And you just want, like you said, pick up the phone every week, even if it's there's no update, some sort of communication.
Something. And
it doesn't matter where we go and who we talk to. You hear anything new, and I mean,
yeah.
I haven't heard a thing. It's kind of frustrating. It's very frustrating.
And your letter.
Okay, sorry to pause, but I want to answer this question. So Wendy says, "Are the police going through your drone footage?" So when we first started this, I had uploaded all the drone footage from the first search right to the Facebook page, and unfortunately, that as much as that was a good thing, there was some weird YouTube channel. I'm not going to name the name or anything, of course, but they took one of those videos and just said that we were hiding bodies or anything. I'm not even going to get into it, but it was just absolutely terrible. God, let's hope the family doesn't see that. It's a conspiracy, YouTuber. And anyway, it was just absolutely terrible. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do that again, next time we go out there. And, anyway, so, but anyway, go back to your question. So, anyway, someone emailed me, and so yes, search and rescue, when all our drone footage, when we come back, I upload it straight to a volunteer at search and rescue here in Utah, and they have the direct line to the lead investigator. So if there's anything like the tracks that we had found, obviously that was the first week or the first time we went out there. We found these tire tracks, and I'll show you at the end if you haven't seen those. Those were sent over because those were suspicious for sure. But yes, but I am thinking about all this drone footage I've had. I mean, most of it's all on my YouTube page, just in my lives. But I'm thinking I'm going to also upload them on Twitter so people can use them and stuff. And I wish I could have done that with all the other stuff in the beginning. But like I said, when that YouTube site took that and did that little story, it was nuts.
Is calling for them to hand over the case to the state of Utah?
Yes, and the FBI will assist the state of Utah.
And as far as you know, could that be possible if Box Elder decided to say,
Absolutely.
we're going to do this?
And I've left multiple messages for Blair Wardle. There's 2 attorneys, I believe, from what I've gathered from other people and other agencies I've talked to. They're the ones who have guided me into this direction. From what I understand, he's the one with the power that can say, okay, we're turning this over to the state. I've left multiple messages for his office, and I've also sent the email to their office. I sent that email a week ago today, and I have heard nothing. Radio silence, not a peep. So now you're calling them out. They know we're going to come public with this. They know, I mean, there's so much. I mean, there's hours of it to go through of what they've done.
Okay, I just want to answer this. Mob Crew, is that pond deep? Sorry, and I'll go back to the other one. No, it's not. It's a couple of feet deep, and I'll play it. I'll play a little bit of it at the end.
To Dylan's case, just turn it over. You had no interest in the beginning. Why are you hanging on to it?
Is there any reason in your mind why you think they might not be communicating with you? Why they might be holding all these things close to the vest?
I have no clue. I don't buy it's because they have all this stuff that they don't want to tell us. Because they could tell us, hey, we got a lot, we're building on this, and we just can't tell you. That is an easy communication. I don't believe they even have that, and so it's almost like they're scared to communicate with us because everything went so wrong in the beginning on how they handled it. They probably lost a lot of what we could have had right there in the very beginning.
They did, no doubt.
I mean, you had hundreds and hundreds, of people all over that place before anything was ever processed, before anything was ever looked at, letting us take Dylan's pickup home. I still have the text message on my phone from the detective.
Yeah, so what they're kind of saying is in the beginning, because they had all these people and it kind of covered up. It could have covered up tracks, destroyed evidence, contaminated possible crime scenes or whatever, and so that's why they're kind of mad about that. And then of course they should have been taking the truck and all these other things. And they do finally have a lot of this stuff finally in evidence or wherever. Seems like it's kind of spread out. Some in Idaho, but yeah, it's really bad. I want to answer this question. Is it true Brenner property or his cabin burnt down out there and he moved? Yes, I don't know. I don't know if somebody in chat, maybe Black Dove knows. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but yeah, it is like, I don't know if it burnt down or what, but that's whatever was there. It's clearly been destroyed. And it wasn't recently. It was before this. Jim's been living, I'm not sure how long he's been on that property, but he's been out there for a while. Good to see you, Pigeon Mac. Hope you're doing good. So, yeah.
Ooh, I asked, can we take his pickup phone? And I was told, you folks do what you need to do, okay. And those are the exact words on my phone. Letting the grain truck go.
I didn't even know the grain truck had left.
Yeah, that was the first.
What do you mean letting the grain truck grow?
What
happened?
They never processed it. They let us take it home.
Bonneville County processed
Yeah.
it. In fact, we used it for harvest, and it's still got all the stickers.
Oh, so that's why Idaho got that. So they took it because they live in Idaho. So they took like Dylan's truck and the grain truck to Idaho, and they actually, he's going to explain here in a minute, but I think he actually uses the grain truck on a farm. So any of this evidence really just got completely contaminated, like the truck and the grain truck, sadly.
Of the measurements and
Yeah. But nothing was
stuff on
processed
it.
there on the scene. Nothing.
Didn't ISP
Bonneville-
also
ISP
process
and-
the truck?
The pickup.
Yeah, ISP in Bonneville County
Yeah.
came and did a lot. They did a lot that I don't know that they had to do, but they were. I wish
Willing to
Box
help.
Elder would
Yes.
learn a little bit from them.
Do you know, did anything come back on the truck or the grain truck that you can say?
Not that, I mean,
No.
no, nothing came back. It's not anything that we can't say, just nothing came
Nothing
back.
came
But
back.
once again, it was so long before it was processed.
And that maybe they haven't told us.
Yeah.
The pickup's still gone.
So your one wish, your one hope now is get this to another agency
Yes.
that will communicate with you and will maybe get fresh eyes on the case.
Yeah, maybe a little more competent than
Yeah,
the way I
well-
feel Box.
Oh, we got Steve in here. So, their failures to act is a reason local law enforcement would not want to release files per peer review. Okay. Failures to act is a reason local law enforcement would not want to release their files per peer review. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and of course, they're always going to have the most pieces to the puzzle. And they could be hiding a lot of pieces to the puzzle from the family for whatever reason.
Elder is.
And just another example is that search warrant that Elko executed last Monday. I talked to Lieutenant Fisher. I knew that warrant was signed. It was at exactly 7:22 last Friday at night. Box Elder had sent over a warrant to get that property searched, and we'd been screaming about that property for a month and a half. Elko wouldn't execute Box Elders because it had no probable cause. It was a joke. And they would not go on that property and search without the proper warrants. So Elko worked on it, got their own warrant. So on Monday, it was an Elko warrant that they executed. It had nothing to do with Box Elder because Box Elder counties was a joke. And we were never told that they were declined a search warrant. We were never told any of this by Box Elder. They didn't say, hey, we're getting a search warrant to get to Elko to search this property. We had no clue.
I didn't even know they were searching it until I just got a bunch of messages from people and I looked on Facebook and saw that video. Other than that, I didn't have a clue.
And nothing was found in that search.
Okay, so I want to show you guys what they're talking about just for, this might be newer to the case. So here you have the farm, Dylan's farm here. And then 5 miles to the west is the grain shed, where I think something definitely went down. I mean, there was crime scene tape put up. I've heard that from the locals since FBI went out there on week 3. And they reported digging and some other things. And they were hauling stuff away when we showed up. And then, so this is where Jim Brenner was squatting during this time. But he did own property, and he had a P.O. box to Montello. But his property is over here on Nevada side. And it's approximately, I might be off a little bit. I don't know. It might be up here. I kind of moved my pin because it was kind of off. I think it's like right here, actually. But anyway, it's just on the other side of Bald Eagle on the Nevada side. And so they did a search there with cadaver dogs. But it reportedly did not find anything. So that happened the other weekend. So now Brenner is on trial, and I think his next hearing is October 12th, I believe, October 2, something like that, in October, early October. I'll have to double check, but so anyway, let's finish this interview here.
There have been a few messages we've gotten, I know you have too, from people that I want to ask you directly to hopefully clear it up. Was the grain truck searched for Dylan?
Yes, absolutely.
And nothing was found?
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay, we can put that one to rest. Are there any creeks, rivers, streams, any bodies of water nearby that he could possibly be in?
Just Lucin Pond, but it's
Lucin
been
Pond.
went through
It's
already.
been searched.
Yes.
They
And
searched
nothing.
it inch by inch.
Yep.
The guy was down in there walking through the whole thing.
The other question I know we've talked on before is the two suspects that are in jail on unrelated charges. They haven't been charged in connection to Dylan's disappearance. What do we know about them and what's happening with them?
So, Chase Venstra.
Confused why you drew a line from the shed to the pond. No, I drew that showing where they were at when they got the flashlight. I was just talking, and I just wanted to see how far, because people are talking about the water hole. That's why I drew the line. It's less than 2 miles to the water hole. That's why I drew that.
Has never been called a suspect. He has not been named a suspect by law enforcement. We truly know nothing. I have asked, I can't tell you how many times, have you cleared him? Is he, like, which is it? I don't know. They won't tell me anything.
But he's in there on gun charges.
He's in there on gun charges. Brenner, he is the official suspect. There is some more stuff we know about him that we can't release that's made him that suspect.
So now that's interesting. That's why, like I said, I think Brenner is like top for me. Brenner's at the top, and then there's maybe one or two others, that could have helped him, or maybe vice versa. But Brenner's up there because, we've gone over it in past lives, but they put it in the press release saying that the totality of evidence between the interviews and physical and forensic data is huge. So I think they've got one, but I think they're still looking for who else is involved, in my opinion.
But once again, it's all the stuff we had in the beginning.
Yeah.
It all started right there where Dylan parked his truck and Brenner was squatting everything we had in the first 3 days.
I think that's interesting. Let's play it one more time. Because remember, they know a little bit more than we do. And of course, law enforcement knows a whole lot more than anybody else. So, I think this is interesting. I want to probably break this down in a smaller, shorter video. But I think there's some... I think this part is interesting.
I don't know. They won't tell me anything.
But he's in there on gun charges.
He's in there on gun charges. Brenner, he is the official suspect. There is some more stuff we know about him that we can't release that's made him that suspect. But once again, it's all the stuff we had in the beginning.
Yeah.
It all started right there where Dylan parked his truck and Brenner was squatting everything we had in the first 3 days.
Have you requested a one-on-one meeting with the sheriff?
I don't even know how to get a hold of the sheriff. I mean, we got his email, but short of the one day I met with him and his wife, I've never spoken with him.
I've never once talked to him.
And that's the other thing. People keep saying, well, they should have a victim's advocate, right? I have no clue who that is in Box Elder. I didn't even know they had that stuff. I keep hearing
didn't
people
either.
saying to me, well, what about the victim's advocate? Well, what about him? That's never been offered to us.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. That's the problem.
And I don't even know what that person does. And frankly, if they're part of Box Elder County, I want nothing to do with them when it comes to Dylan's case.
Yeah, a lot of larger jurisdictions have these victim advocates that is your go-between, the liaison between the family. Even some smaller jurisdictions do. It's becoming more and more common. So you're saying just give us someone that can communicate with us so we know what is happening.
And at this point, it's not the communication. That boat has sailed with Box Elder. It is turn it over to the state of Utah and let somebody handle Dylan's case who's going to treat it with the attention that it deserves. Box Elder County cannot redeem themselves at this point with me. There is no way. There has been...
Thank you, Lolly. That's so sweet. Says thank you, Chris, for everything you do. Always so respectful. You bring the truth and have a humble heart. Need more like you around. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. Couldn't do it without the support you guys give me. You guys are awesome.
So much more than we can ever touch on in one interview. I absolutely have no faith in them as a department, as a whole department. I want nothing to do with them.
So when I ask you what's new with the case, you can say you don't know.
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah.
yeah. We can honestly say that. I mean, I know the stuff that our FBI agent's working on, and like I said, his communication is amazing, but he is not lead. And Box Elder County, obviously, it just fell into their laps. You know, I don't know if they just want to hang on to it to say we have it, but they're over their heads. They don't know. I mean, we get told we don't know how to pull text messages off a phone, or we don't know how to do that. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I do know that 2 news agencies, at least in Utah, Fox 13 and ABC4, contacted the sheriff's office. Fox went to the sheriff's office hoping to get a comment about this last week, and they had no response. We'll of course reach out and let you know if they give us a response. In the past, it's been mainly email saying there's been no updates.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what else do you want the public to know?
Yeah, that's what they was talking about right there. And like I said, at the end of this video, I'll show you if you guys want the number, and I'll put it in the description at the end too of this video. If you guys want to call in, they put a number. We'll look at the post.
What else does the public need to know about the case in general, about this specific?
Well, I know a lot of people think that Justin and I get a lot of throwback, like, why don't you guys want people out there? Why don't you want people looking for Dylan? It's not that we don't want people looking for Dylan, but what little bit could be left out there, these YouTubers who say, oh, this is Dylan's farm, we're out here filming this, we're looking for Dylan, they are not looking for Dylan.
Okay, this part kind of hurts because you're going to have bad apples that are going to kick that down a little bit. Adjust this a little bit. But, yeah, of course, there's always going to be bad apples in every community of every type, even YouTubers. And it just kind of sucks because, our heart's been in the right place. Me and my cousin Nick, we've gone out there 4 times. First 2 times we went out there is when they, it was open to search, and they were asking for help. And then during week 4, when they said they didn't want people out there, we were respectful. We didn't go to Lucin. We went to, a neighboring county and town basically, and checked to see if, he could be in, out there. And so it's tough that, we put all these time and effort, and it's just kind of tough that that other people kind of ruin it, like that. And then this is the result, is this. It really hurts because, we really care. But I don't know.
They are looking for YouTube hits, and they could potentially destroy maybe that one little thing that was missed, that when we get a different agency to go out there, could find.
We have cameras out there, and I'm thinking about pressing charges on people that are trespassing
Yes,
on the property.
we will
I've seen
absolutely. We're done.
some people from Montello. I have pictures of them, and I'm going to figure out a way to start pressing charges if they're coming on there. There's no reason for them to be there doing YouTube videos, and it's private property.
So yeah, so people, because yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I know. I'd hope so. But yeah, it's a bummer because, look at Adventures with Purpose. They went out there day 1. Now, of course, they're well equipped. I mean, that's like comparing apples to oranges. But, when we go out there with the drone. We're in the air, Yes, I do walk on the ground, but I don't go very far. And usually the areas I go, I make sure it's heavily trafficked area. But I would never go, especially like the grain shed, we would just fly over it, We wouldn't, of course, ever walk on anything like that. But, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a speck of something that somebody steps on.
Let's skip this forward a little bit here.
Yeah.
Dylan turned 20 a few weeks ago.
Yes.
I noticed you
Yeah.
asked people.
I think you can't blame
plant
him.
some seeds in his behalf. Obviously, he's a farmer, and you went to a few different places, didn't you, and spread seeds all over.
Yeah.
What was that day like?
Oh, it was quite the day.
Yeah.
When she came up with the idea, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they'll never sprout in time. I was just, I don't know. Wasn't a whole 100% on board, but it's been a really neat experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. I've never noticed so many sunflowers in my life as I have this year.
Yeah,
And the response from the people is just amazing.
Yeah, and that's, Dylan's got a whole world out there looking for him. So that's our that's what we can do right now. We can't be on Dylan's farm disturbing stuff. We can't. So we're keeping awareness, and we're never going to give up. We'll bring him home. So we need people to respect, the stuff that needs to be preserved.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, here's hoping that
Hey, Jason Watts. Keep working hard, Chris. You're doing a great job. Thanks, buddy. That you have no idea how much that means coming from you. All the support from you guys is amazing, and I would not be where I'm at without you guys. I would be nothing. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate you guys being so respectful in the comments, and honored to have you in here, Jason Watts. And so now that that's finished, just my thoughts, of course. Just looking at for those that followed the Kiely Rodni case, in this case, it's apples and oranges, how it's been handled, unfortunately. Now, obviously, there were some mistakes, actually, what we've learned from Kiely Rodni is that the search and rescue teams, when it comes to sonar, is that they don't have any kind of regulations as far as training, so they need better training. They don't really need the latest and greatest technology when it comes to that. They just need better training to recognize cars that are underwater, because they don't do it that often. So that was I did a video earlier today explaining, because Adventures with Purpose, I think that has been a primary question when it comes to what went wrong there. Thank you so much, Rocky K9, for the $5. Chris, I'm positively sure Candace is not talking about you. It is other people, those people exploring mine shafts. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rocky K9. That means a lot. And we want to go back out there, and we probably will. And, of course, we'll do it in a respectful fashion. And, it's going to be with the drone, so we're not going to be really walking anywhere. I will probably this time. I have a certain place that I want to go to. I've been dying to go to since we've looked at this drone footage, and I'll just kind of explain an area that really sticks out to me is this here, especially after with Kiely's situation. They found her right where the phone was last pinged. I mean, her phone was supposedly pinging half on land, half on water, and they found her where her phone was last pinging, right in that area. So to me, this is not exact, but according to Candace in the first interview, from what she was told, she said that this supposed cell phone ping that came from Dylan's app was at she says 15:41, which is at 3:41 p.m. And she says it's south of the tracks, close to the bend, down the hill a little bit. And I'm just going to check my phone real quick. And that's just an area that we would like to fly over, because that's one place we missed. And we didn't... we hadn't deciphered that interview at the time, so we didn't know about the last cell phone ping, unfortunately, at that time. Thank you so much, Mary Lou Anderson, for the $1.99. Grateful for all you do. Love. Thank you so much. Love back to you. Just looking at the... Yeah, I think really is that. Yeah, I think they're upset at the people that are that were on the property, probably. But yeah, I was kind of blown away when I saw that video. I was like, oh my gosh, the green shed, is that? I had to take a double look when I saw that. Someone was actually at the property, but so here is just. And I'll show the pond real quick too, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here in a little bit. Let's see. Quentin says, let me see. You must also check out 25 miles out in the wash at those tracks. Searchers said they never went out that far, so those tracks are not searchers. Yeah, definitely 25 miles. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there's a few areas that got my attention for sure. The biggest one is obviously just where the cell phone pinged, because I mean that's just kind of go with Occam's razor. That's that's where his phone last pinged. How well has it been searched? I have no idea. And then just the suspicious tracks of some kind of farm equipment that was driven through this wash. I don't know why you would drive some kind of farm equipment through this wash. So here's the water hole, and I'll show you guys just kind of what it looks like, because they've been at the water hole a lot. So obviously it's really the only body of water that they have. So give me just a second here. Let me pull it up. So let's search 1. So another search 4. Search 5. That would be search 3. Okay, so it's in this one here. Okay, so it's that one. How far from the grain shed Dylan's property was the last ping? So yeah, I get that a lot. So it's less than. So it's exactly almost 1.5 miles. Well, I wouldn't say exactly because we don't know exactly. Like, this is just an estimated spot. So about 1.5 miles from where the boots, and then if you want to get a little closer, you could say 1.6 miles to the grain shed. Now that's give or take. So I'd say anywhere from 1.5 mile to 2 miles west of the grain shed, I guess would be the best way to put it. So, but that would be my target area to search. Then we know Don lives up north here. And I don't want to show his exact location just because if you really want to find it, you can find it. But, we don't know. Learning from Kiely Rodni's case with all accusations and stuff, it ain't about being a YouTuber. And when you've got followers, is you got to be responsible, and you got to remember, the bigger you get, with great power comes great responsibility. And I try to, always remind myself when talking about persons of interest, because, you don't want to get your people riled up, and you attack a person that ends up being innocent and tear their lives apart. You always got to keep that in mind. So. Yeah, I'm going to show you the water right now. Yeah, it's crazy. It's actually kind of beautiful. That's why I got it named Waterhole Pretty. Let me turn down the volume. So this is the waterhole. So yeah, I would say it's, and it's not that big. A foot deep, maybe 2 feet deep, maybe at most. But you could hide something small. I don't think you as far as body, I don't think you could hide a body. Unless it was down to bones or something. But you could definitely hide like items for sure, because the moss and everything would cover it right up. So, but I've heard this has been searched like multiple times. But it's crazy. It doesn't quite look exactly how it does. Like when you actually see it in person, it's like neon green. It's actually beautiful, to be honest with you. It's like something crazy to see in the middle of the desert like this. But yeah, the algae moss is pretty wild. But yeah, for something small though, like a phone or something, yeah, you could probably easily hide it in there. Look how it's stringy too. Like, let me pause it real quick here. Back it up. Like, you can see how it's stringy and stuff. I mean, you could toss something in there and somebody would have to literally search that entire thing. But like I said, we heard that it's when we got out there the first time, we'd heard it already been searched at least once, and I think the second time we went out there, and this is coming from the locals, they actually can see the pond from where they live. They said it's been, it was like there was a lot of people there during the first week or two. But yeah, I've never seen something like it ever. It's very fascinating and pretty. I'm just checking the chat here. So yeah, so we'll probably wrap it up. I'm going to probably break down that interview a little bit more and maybe do a video tomorrow or something. And then there's just the video ends. But you got the tracks just north of here, as you can see on the map. That's what we were kind of looking at. And then, of course, we flew the drone in here. But yeah, so we're thinking about uploading all the drone footage on Twitter. So if you don't, if you're on Twitter and you don't follow me, if you want to follow me on Twitter, my mods will put it in the link there. I'm gonna be slowly uploading all the drone footage we've had from all the 4 searches, but we do want to go out there again. Not sure exactly when, but sooner than later. So Chris and Nick went out with the drone before rain washed away too many tracks. I keep thinking how good it was for them to go out there when they did, even sacrificing a car. Yeah, thanks, Thistle. My car was a lemon, so I mean it was probably going to blow up either way. I just probably speeded up the process, but we do it again. So, trying to think, is there anything I was going to say? Just shout out to everybody being here. You guys are amazing. And any donations I get over, I'll shout you out in the next video. So I really appreciate you guys all being here. If you're newer to the channel, please hit that like button. And also, if you haven't sent in a picture of your pet, email me at jointhemobcrew@outlook.com. And in a future live, we'll put the picture of your pet up there. So with that said, thank you, mods. I love you guys. Thank you, all the members. And, of course, thank you, everyone, for being here. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for being polite in the chat. And just reading the chat here. And I just, like I said, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And we'll probably go live tomorrow and maybe have some more info on when we're going to go out. So, hey, Emo Jim. Hey, Chris, just got on for lunch. All right. I appreciate you, Emo Jim. Thanks, buddy. We are actually just signing off. But I love you guys, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.